The Springfield Armory M1A SOCOM 16, let's check it out. I've been wanting an M1A for about 25 years, and I've had friends that have owned them. I've shot a number of them. I just love them, and I've never owned one. So I was really excited to get this SOCOM 16. I really like the compact size. This is from the original M14, and what a grand rifle. On this table we have two legends. We have the M1 Garand, which World War II fame, and then on beyond through Korea, and years after that, just a man's rifle. I mean, this is the ultimate battle rifle according to George Patton. And this is the M1A Springfield Armory, which this is the semi-automatic version of the M14, which was inspired by the Garand very heavily. First thing we're going to do is make sure the gun is unloaded. We're going to remove the magazine, check the chamber. It's empty. Springfield Armory started building rifles in 1974 from surplus parts, and from there, that was the early beginnings. Now, of course, they make all the parts there at Springfield Armory. This is the SOCOM 16 with a 16 1/4 inch barrel, and this is the smallest. They do make a Scout model which has an 18-inch barrel, and then the standard M1A is 22 inches. These have been employed in the U.S. military since 1959 and are currently being used in Afghanistan, because one of the problems has been that distances were well over 300 yards contact distance, and so the M14 was much more suitable for longer range than the M16 or M4. And so these are still being currently used. In fact, it's kind of a revival of the M14 with the U.S. military. Now, the M1A is a gas piston system, and because of the 16-inch barrel, Springfield Armory designed this gas system specifically with the 16-inch barrel, and I had no hiccups whatsoever. I mean, it just functioned very well. You would expect for it to have a little more recoil, but they've incorporated a really good muzzle brake to mitigate that. So really, it's very shootable out at the range. Now, the noise is a little bit louder because of the shorter barrel. So you want to make sure you have some ear protection. But really, it was a pleasure to shoot. Shoots very smooth, very flat for a .308. Of course, it does have the box magazine, and Springfield Armory includes a 10-rounder. You can get 20-rounders from Springfield or from other places. The one thing about the magazines is they can run up to about $50, actually a little more on the Springfield Armory 20-rounder. And of course, there are surplus mags out there as well. We got on Brownells, and they were out of the standard Parkerized finish, but they did have some stainless steel magazines, and these were $29.99. The way you insert the magazine is you actually rock it in. So you put it at the front, and then it closes, and you make sure you hear that little click. To remove the magazine, there's a small little paddle. You just press in and pull straight out. Reinsert, up, click. Your safety is right here, right in front of the trigger guard. Bring it back, and that engages your safety. When you want to take your safety off, you just push it out. To show the operating features, let's remove the magazine. Grab your charging handle, pull it back, release. That puts a round right in the chamber. Now you'll notice the camming action of the bolt. It actually twists and rotates. Right here and here are surfaces on the receiver that hold that into place. So it's going to be a really strong lockup in the chamber. And then as the bolt comes back, you can see it unlocks and pulls back. It's a very beefy bolt, and of course it is in .308. The SOCOM 16 was introduced in 2004, so it's been around for about 12 years, and has a really strong track record. I know that the SOCOM CQB, which has a really modular stock system, it's a really beautiful rifle, but I just really wanted to go with something a little more traditional, even though I wanted to go with a shorter barrel. One of the big differences with the M14s was the process that it made for the upper receivers. It was really expensive. And so they do a cast alloy steel, and it's an A1S1 8620. It's a very strong steel. These guns have been proven. They're just excellent rifles. The barreling is, again, 16 1/4 inches. It's 1 11 twist, and they are carbon steel. With this size, you would expect, though, the recoil to be pretty heavy. But one of the great things about this rifle is this muzzle brake. This really tames the recoil. It makes it just a pleasure to shoot. You can see the small holes that go all the way around. It does incorporate on the front sight. There is a tritium little post right here that makes it nice, gives you a little bit of light in low light situations. Here on the rear we have an aperture sight, very similar to the Garand, and you have your adjustment knobs here and here so you can change elevation and windage. There's also a guide for stripper clips. Bring it back, and of course it holds open on the last round. But this allows you to put stripper clips in here. Now there is a scope mount right here. It's already drilled and tapped, so you can add just a scope mount that'll go over, and that will take away your ability to use stripper clips. But it allows you to use regular scopes. This is your operating rod, and it is attached to your gas system. This is a piston system that runs all the way underneath. We'll take a little bit of a look at that when we break the rifle down, which is really simple to do. But it just forces this back, and it's just a really clean operating system. Now with the last round bolt hold open, of course, you can remove the magazine, no problem. Bring it back and then close it. Now you can hold the bolt open with this little lever right here. So bring the bolt back, engage your stop, and it'll keep the bolt open. To disengage that, just pull the bolt back a little bit and the spring pops, and you can let it go forward. It does come in this OD. It comes in a black, and it also comes in an FDE. And you know, it was a very hard decision, honestly. It has nice checkering right here at the pistol grip, plus the checkering that goes right here at the fore end of the rifle. With that being said, you can see the Picatinny rail in a forward position, which allows for a scout setup with a long eye relief scope or with standard red dots. The handguard material is a thinner type polymer than the stock, and I think originally with the rifles, even the U.S. military rifles, they started replacing the handguard with a fiberglass handguard. Now as far as trigger pull, make sure the gun is unloaded. We'll take our Lyman trigger gauge. £5 pounds 15 ounces, 5 pounds 12 ounces, 5 pounds 15 ounces. That's pretty consistent, and I was doing it earlier. It's a nice crisp break. Just a little take up right here, and then boom. And I mean, it is crisp. Reset right there, and that's super quick. The overall length of the rifle is 37.5 inches. It weighs 8.8 pounds. It's not light, but it's lighter than the 22-inch barreled brother. We're going to be taking this out to the range even farther and get some distance. I was shooting only about 100 yards and just doing the initial review and getting just a really good feel for the rifle. But the accuracy is excellent even at those ranges and then beyond. Now as far as accuracy, HPR 308 168 grain match ammo. We were shooting at 100 yards with the Leatherwood Hilux 2x7 and getting really good groups. This is my first group, brought it down, and this is my last group. Shooting 5-round groups, so I feel pretty good about it, and once we really get some distance out there, we'll find out how well it'll do. There's a sling attachment on the back and right on the front. Now one really unusual feature that was carried over from the M14 is the butt plate, and it actually comes up, it's hinged, and this would ride on the shoulder of your soldier, so when he's firing fully automatic he can control it a little better, and that's just a pretty cool little thing. Or if you're shooting rapid fire, it probably wouldn't hurt. It's not super comfortable, but if you had a strap on like a backpack or whatever, you could ride that on it. Right here is for your cleaning kit, and it was a little tough getting out, so I'm going to use a little tool pops open. There are two holes here. One of them is 9 inches deep, so it's pretty deep into the stock, and this is to put your cleaning kit. Some of the M1A models, especially the competition models, have just a regular rubberized butt pad just to mitigate recoil. But again, with that muzzle brake, there's just not a lot of recoil. Snaps back into place, drop that down. We're going to field strip the rifle, and of course going to release the magazine, check the chamber again, and it's empty. Now engage your safety, take your trigger guard and just pull it down. And so it comes out just like the Garand. And then you can just pull this right out. Look at how beefy that trigger group is. Especially if you've been messing around with AR-15s. I mean, that is incredible. Very solid. And that says a lot about the durability of these rifles. And we have our hammer right here, and then sear. You can see the trigger guard, how it comes down, and this is how it locks into the stock. And there's your mag release. But this trigger group comes out really fast and easy. And this is what holds your action in, so be careful. Turn the rifle over, and then right here the stock is retained, so pull the back up and it'll come right out. And that is how simple field stripping is. Here you see your operating rod spring. This operating rod is actually attached to this and goes all the way up. Your gas piston is in here and it forces back. It's a pretty solid system all the way around. Now this gun obviously can be taken down further, but for time's sake we're not going to do that today. But I'm really thinking about doing that in an upcoming video and going through all the different details. But this is just what you need to do to field strip it, and you should be able to clean it from that. Now with your stock in hand, just take your upper receiver, place it forward this way and then lock it down. Take your trigger group, making sure that your trigger guard is all the way forward. Get it into place and then just snap it down like that and you're good to go. Now I was using one of the Leatherwood Hilux 2x7 long eye relief scopes. There's not a lot of options out there, but I'm going to tell you, Leatherwood Hilux makes excellent scopes for the money. And this is just a great little optic. And then we have the, this is the aim point, and this is the Comp ML3. And this is something that I'm reviewing right now, and this does have a cover as well that goes over it. It does come in black as well. And so really, if you want magnification, you know, something with like a long eye relief scope, but this really was designed to go with no magnification in a red dot like this. And of course the aim point specifically for this rifle. And this is just an excellent optic. To get the correct eye relief though, I picked up one of the Voodoo Tactical cheek rest, and this is just really adjustable. It's really great. It goes on the rifle. It looks great. But you know, you get a little better cheek weld with this than you do just on the basic stock itself. As far as the magazines go, I definitely would recommend going to Brownells. These magazines are great, and I know their Parkerized are also. They do have Pro Mags. I think they're like $19.95. I'm a little leery of that. I'll probably try some, but I've not had all that great of experience with Pro Mag. But these mags seem to be great, and these are Checkmate mags. You know, whether you're using the iron sights or you're going with the Scout configuration, the long eye relief scope, or with the red dot, they all held up well. I noticed that I was shooting HPR 308 match ammo, and it just, the accuracy was on top, right up front. The balance of this rifle is right here under the magazine. Get a good feel for it. Points really well. It just feels good to carry it. It's definitely heavier than, you know, an AK-47 or the AR-15. But again, you have a lot more punch coming out the end of that barrel. And so it's really nice. The aperture sight's a little more expanded with this model because it is made more for close quarter. Really up to about 300 yards. But you can definitely, with the 16-inch barrel, get way beyond that. And so again, we're going to be testing it. But scope options, you know, you can put a side scope mount on here if you want to use a traditional scope. I really like the long eye relief scope, and I also really like the red dot. And that aim point just is just a beautiful optic in itself. So the whole package really did well, and I was just glad to have a lot of different options. And that's one of the things about this rifle, is that you have so many different options. You can go with, and there's a lot of different accessories. Parts are readily available as well. So, and Springfield Armory stands behind their stuff. So It's just really a great rifle. Springfield Armory has been doing a fantastic job on these, again, since 1974. They've just taken a really legendary rifle and continue to make it better. I mean, what more can you ask? Now, I have a tech mat here in the M14 style. One of the things I love about these is of course, it cushions on your bench. It's made from rubberized material, and it has a schematic of the rifle, so I can see where everything goes, especially when I'm doing any kind of disassembly of the rifle, cleaning and things like that. Has a list of the parts and everything. So, tech mat's really cool, and you know, especially if you have a rifle as iconic as the M1A. Now, even though the M14 had one of the shortest records for an issued rifle to the U.S. military, other than the Craig Jorgensen, this has been the longest running U.S. military rifle in history, even more than the Garand, Carbine, even the M16. The M14 has been in service in the U.S. military, again, since 1959, and continues to be in service even today. So the Springfield Armory M1A SOCOM 16, thumbs way up. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America, long live the Republic. And they have worked, of course I'm going to remove the magazine to show it. Move the magazine. I'm going to move the magazine. And for those of you who thumb down my videos, wait for it, thumbs down on you. You may be considering this rifle, but you just don't know if you can handle the recoil. If you got a doubt, you probably need to stick with the 22. Better yet, man up.